Hello again, fellow preppers. We're going to learn about broadleaf plantain today. I have a blue heeler pup who's photobombing me at the moment. Move along, Henry. I shot this video just a couple moments ago, and because plantain likes full sun, my phone shut off about 2 seconds into it because of heat, and I did not know it. So I'm going to try to replicate my pearls of wisdom for you. I apologize in advance for the sound of the creek running behind me. This is the only spot on our survival homestead where there's any plantain left. The horses love it almost as much as clover. So do the goats and the sheep and the cattle and the mini donkeys and the deer. So I have to compete with them for plantain to powder and save as an edible forage food source. And also what I use the most for is medicinally. The plants in the sunshine, which is where it thrives and grows the best, have some younger leaves on them and more of the flowers. So I picked a few pieces to share with you. This is probably one of the easiest to identify wild foraged edible and medicinal plants for novice foragers. As far as I know, at least in America, there are no lookalikes to this plant that are toxic or just not full of nutrients at all. There is another type of plantain that's commonly found growing in the same area, and it is called longleaf or narrowleaf plantain. You can interchange them in most recipes. It may not have as many nutrients as a broadleaf plantain, but there wouldn't be that much of a difference you'd have to adjust the recipe for. These here are the flowers. I hope I can get a close-up without blurring, that grow out of the middle of the plants. These ones have already really spawned all of theirs. They have gotten very big leaves over here, and it has been bush hogged a bit. So that's why they're gone. But they grow out of the middle. The broadleaf plantain is a basal rosette. If I can adjust this down here a little bit, you can see the base of it and how it grows out. That makes it a broadleaf rosette. But these are the flower shoots, and they have little seeds on them depending on the time of the year. These are also edible. They're rather pliable, move back and forth quite easily. You can bend them without breaking them. These should always have the shoots growing out of them during, I'd say, mid to late spring through early summer. Here's some new fresh ones growing on this one. It's lost its first batch, and it's growing some more. These plants, as long as you don't pull them out by the root, will continue to grow. So you will see different things that are spawned throughout the year that looks like new spring growth. You'd only see then on most plants. So there might be a time when you come across a plant that's big like this, that does not have these flower shoots. That's because they've already gone to seed and done their job. This is a young leaf. These actually make the best eating. I can get it here in my fingers. It's about 4 fingers long, 2.5 fingers wide. These make the best eating and the best taste. The leaves range in size. You can see this one, and it's larger than the palm of my hand, longer than my fingertips, down just about down to my wrist. So they really range in size. And here's some bigger leaves still in the back. You can pinch them off, which is what I would suggest you do, and not take them from the root until the fall season, because it will continue to grow. Broadleaf plantain is considered a noxious weed, meaning it's very hard to kill. You will see these growing along sidewalks and parking lots and driveways. People will squirt them with all kinds of things to get rid of them, just like they do dandelions, not realizing the value that they have. So as long as you don't pull them out by the root until fall, until about your first frost, then you will have plants and a continuous source of food. I'm going to try to move the camera here a bit and zoom in on this so you can see what it looks like at the bottom. You can push the leaves down without hurting them. They're very pliable. And you can see how it gets kind of purple magenta there. The roots are of a similar color. I'm going to try to find a picture or a video that shows the roots. Since these are all that I have left, I really don't want to waste any at this point. But you can see it kind of has a purple magenta color. It's also pliable. Has an indentation, definitely discernible indentation, going from where the above ground part of the stem goes all the way up to the plant. It kind of curves in. It's enough of an indentation that if you put water on there, it would hold it. It's like, Henry, it's like a little racetrack for tinky tiny bugs. And on the leaves, you can notice there are, this is a big leaf, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because it's so wide, discernible veins going up the leaf. Every broadleaf plantain will have these. On the back, you can turn it over, and you can see the veins in it far more distinctively. Try to make sure you can see it here. And the middle one It's the most distinct out of them all. And if you take a look at the stem, you can see how the indentations start way back here and they're thinner. They continue to get thicker all the way up. Now the young leaves, like I said, are the best for eating. Here's a plant here. I'm going to scoot you back again. It's just starting to grow right here. And soon it should have the flowers coming out of it. These will make much better eating. You can pinch them off, even though they're young, without killing the plant. Sorry for all the moving around. I'm working on a big slope here, and not the best spot, but it's the one that's in the shade. And without killing it, you can go ahead and pinch all these off. And here in a couple of weeks, you will have some more. But plantain has, I think it's soapium. I might be pronouncing that right, so check back the article for the proper spelling and what it's used for. But it's an ingredient that's used in a lot of prescription and over-the-counter medications. It is chock full of different healing components, which I'll go into in the article, and make sure to try to give you some links to look at some studies. And we'll also have some recipes linked to this article about ways to use plantain to preserve it. You can dehydrate it either with a solar dehydrator, laying it out on some fine mesh or some screen or hardware cloth, and cover it up so it doesn't blow away, and let it dry. Depending on the size of the leaves, it might dry in a day, it might dry in 2 or 3. They're not very thick leaves, as you can see here, and the edges are not serrated, but they're not perfectly flush. They get a little bit wavy. That's another way you can help tell the broadleaf plantain has a little bit of wave to it. But you need to bring them in at night if you're going to dehydrate them outdoors. They will soak up the moisture again and could rot or mold. Put them in your dehydrator. I don't think you'll need any mesh screening. They should be able to lay right on your dehydrator tray. Put on your lowest setting, the one your machine probably designates for herbs or possibly nuts. And it might take 4 to 6 hours depending on how many leaves. You want to space them apart to have adequate airflow. And you want to put on the trays leaves of like size. You don't want a huge one like this one on the same tray as a tinky tiny one like that one, because the drying will not be even. You can put them all in the same dehydrator, but keep them on different trays so they will dry about the same time. You can remove some when they are done and switch around and put in more batches. And after you have them dehydrated, you can powder them and use them that way in salves. You can just, a lot of salves, you can just rip them off into little chunks. They tear easily. Pull this one off here. Just rip them off like this into little chunks and put them down into your salves or your tinctures or your wound washes, whatever it is that you're making. You can see the little veins that are on it, and that's okay if those go in or go out. I definitely would not pull them out, but you can get them in there and that's okay. The stems, also edible. Every part of this plant is edible. The leaves, the stems, the flowers, the seeds the flower shoots produce, as well as the roots. The roots are the most potent for medicine. Some more experienced herbalists have told me in the fall, when they're no longer being taxed with the chore of growing the plant. So you could go around, they're not very deep and not very wide. You could take a shovel and just dig them up. You could probably dig up about 20 plants in maybe 10 minutes or so, depending on how much exercise you want to get out of the process. So it doesn't take very long. To pull them up out of the ground, even though they're a shallow root, you're probably going to lose the roots. So if you're foraging in a survival situation, you're going to have to do some digging. They like full sun. They will grow about anywhere. If you can tell from the soil here, I'm going to move you one more time. This is gravel. It's right on the edge of the driveway going to the creek, and it's very sandy. We had flooding here 3 or 5 times this year. They were covered with mud and goo and whatever else washed down our creek. Didn't hurt them at all. They're very hardy. So you can look for them in open areas like fields, pastures, along sidewalks. If you're foraging in the city or even in a suburban neighborhood, somewhere that's not your property, you want to make sure that you know that the broadleaf plantain has not been sprayed with any type of chemicals or even with some type of a natural herbicide. Whether you want to eat it or use it as medicine, you might not want to be infusing all these different chemicals into your skin. You definitely wouldn't want to ingest any of the harsh chemicals that are sprayed from Roundup Ready or any other series of chemical fertilizers. And they will keep if you have them dehydrated and powdered and stored in a mason jar with a firm fitting lid, preferably stored in a cool dark place, but they're shelf stable if you just want to keep them in your kitchen. I would say I've kept some for 5 years and used them and not had a problem. It's all in proper harvesting and drying and storing. You could hang dry them like you do herbs, but it'd be much more time consuming to tie all these little stems together. And But if you're in a survival situation, you can pick these up, eat them raw like a wild salad. You can roast them, you can saute them, you can powder them, or just pull them into pieces and use them as stews to get their nutrients. There are so many things you can do with plantain. It's often used in drawing salves and ointments that are designed to help treat boils or acne or eczema. And so that's one of the main uses. You can combine it with jewelweed and it's even more potent. Plantain will help insect bites and minor burns. You can use it kind of like a natural neosporin. So the uses for this are numerous. It's definitely a valuable wild edible and medicinal and something you should be looking for and putting back in your survival stockpile.